Her name was Mei Li Haskell, 37 years old, a mother of 3. In a foreign land, she carried the weight of a family, paying the mortgage, raising her children, holding everything together, until one Tuesday, her world collapsed. This case has been covered many times by news outlets and creators, but most have told it through the eyes of the killer, Sam Haskell. Today, I'll reveal the full picture, and more importantly, I'll tell her story, the story of a mother, a daughter, a fighter. Welcome to Red Eastern True Crime. If you want to see more crime stories, please like and subscribe. Let's dive into this story.
On Tuesday evening, police went to the family home after landscapers reported seeing what looked like body parts stuffed in bags outside. When officers got there, the bags were gone. But the next day, a homeless man searching for recyclables found a female torso in a bag in a dumpster in Encino.
On November 8, 2023, Los Angeles police launched an investigation after a torso was discovered in a dumpster outside a shopping mall in the north of the city. Surveillance video from the day before showed a white Tesla pulling up. A thin white man stepped out, opened the trunk, and with visible effort dragged out a large black trash bag, heaved it into the dumpster, and then drove off. At 4:45 p.m., another surveillance camera captured the man again, this time moving more black trash bags from the Tesla into a rented Nissan Armada SUV. Moments later, he ditched the Tesla on the street and drove the Armada to a residence in Tarzana, roughly 5 miles from the dumpster. Police soon discovered the white Tesla was registered to Mei Li Haskell. The Armada SUV, however, had been rented by Samuel Haskell IV, and the Tarzana home, just 5 miles from the dumpster, was owned by Mei Li and her husband, Sam. Detectives had found their prime suspect. In fact, before the torso was discovered in the dumpster by a homeless man, there had already been a warning. On November 7th at 3:53 p.m., 4 day laborers arrived in a blue truck and a white truck outside Sam's home. Sam offered them $500 to haul away several heavy black trash bags from his driveway, claiming the bags were filled with bricks for construction. But the workers quickly noticed something was off. The bags felt soft, not solid like bricks. Still, they lifted 3 large trash bags into the white truck and drove off. Just 1 block later, unease took over. 2 of the men stopped, opened a bag, and were horrified to find human body parts inside. Panicked, the 2 men called Sam right away, telling him they wanted out. They drove back, dumped the 3 bags onto his driveway, and returned the $500. Sam brushed it off, insisting the bags only contained Christmas decorations. At 4:17 p.m., the 2 workers left. Their first stop was a nearby California Highway Patrol office, but the receptionist didn't speak Spanish and they didn't speak English. After a confusing back and forth, they were told to try the LAPD instead. So they drove to the Topanga station, only to be brushed off again. Because of the language barrier, officers told them to just call 911 directly. Frustrated, the workers stepped outside and called 911 from the station parking lot, but once again, the operator didn't speak Spanish. Their call was bounced to a California Highway Patrol office in Sacramento, then back to LAPD, until finally, they reached an operator who did. By 5:30 that afternoon, officers arrived at Sam's house, but the bags were gone and no one came to the door. With no clear evidence, police left without entering. Later, surveillance revealed the truth. Just 7 minutes after the workers dumped the bags back, Sam had driven off in the white Tesla. On the morning of November 8th at 8:40 a.m., police returned to Sam's home at 4115 Coldstream Terrace, this time with a search warrant. Inside the master bedroom and bathroom, they found blood stains. In the garage and backyard, they uncovered bloody clothes, saw blades, a power saw, machetes, blood-soaked plywood, several disposable gloves, and canes belonging to May's mother and stepfather. Investigators also recovered a Home Depot receipt dated October 6, 2023. At 11:30 that morning, police spotted Sam driving the rented Nissan Armada in Woodland Hills. He was arrested on the spot. On him, officers found a folding knife and a wallet containing another Home Depot receipt, dated October 20th. Inside the SUV, they discovered a .357 Magnum revolver, 32 rounds of ammunition, a bloodstained military knife, a headlamp, a gun scope, and passports for Sam, Mei, and their 3 children. DNA tests later confirmed the blood on the machete, saws, and plywood belonged to Mei, her mother, and her stepfather. In the abandoned Tesla, investigators also found blood from Mei's stepfather. Detectives determined the torso in the dumpster belonged to Mei. They also concluded that her 64-year-old mother, Yan Xiang Wang, and her 72-year-old stepfather, Gao Shan Li, had been murdered as well, though their bodies were never found. Police issued a public alert asking for help locating 2 missing vehicles: a white Volkswagen Tiguan SUV, license plate 9ANC890, usually driven by Mei's parents, and a white 2014 Nissan Pathfinder SUV, license plate 7FRM190. Samuel Bond Haskell IV was born on April 3, 1988, and lived in Tarzana, California. His father, Samuel Haskell III, was a powerful Hollywood agent and producer, long tied to the William Morris Agency, where he rose to executive vice president. Over the years, he represented stars like George Clooney, Dolly Parton, Ray Romano, Whoopi Goldberg, and Kathy Lee Gifford, and even collaborated with Prince Edward of the British royal family. Later, he became CEO of the Miss America pageant before resigning in 2017 after a scandal involving leaked emails. Sam's mother, Mary Haskell, was an actress who held the title of Miss Mississippi in 1977. He had one sister, also an actress. In 2013, Sam launched a company called SB Group, boasting that he produced high-end film projects with top-tier equipment. In reality, his work was little more than low-budget, violent horror shorts, often casting Asian women as the victims. In 2022, he wrote, directed, and even starred in a film called Harvard Law, about a drug dealer and a con man moving into a mansion. Audiences who saw it dismissed the project as painfully amateurish. Sam attended California State University, Northridge, from 2006 to 2011. It was there that he met Mei Li, a Chinese international student 2 years his senior, born in 1986 in Yantai, Shandong Province. When Mei was just 10 months old, her mother, Yan Xiang Wang, divorced her biological father. Not long after, she married Gao Shan Li, a colleague who stepped in and raised Mei as his own daughter. After high school, Mei dreamed of studying in the United States. Her parents didn't have much, but they supported her fully, saving everything they could. In 2007, she enrolled at Cal State Northridge, majoring in accounting. Not long after arriving, Mei's trusting nature was taken advantage of. She was scammed out of her living expenses. Heartbroken, she told her mother. To keep her dream alive, her stepfather sold his own house to cover the costs. Mei worked relentlessly to ease her parents' burden. She juggled multiple jobs, serving as an assistant in the International Student Office, interning at an accounting firm, and even waiting tables at a restaurant, all while excelling in her studies. Despite the workload, she graduated successfully. Her uncle, Yanqing Wang, later told reporters that his sister, Yan Xiang Wang, was deeply devoted to family and that their siblings were very close. He described Mei as mature, hardworking, and determined, just like her mother. Mr. Wang himself had immigrated to the U.S. in 2005, working as a chef in Monterey Park, Los Angeles. Though his English was limited and his income modest, he still contributed part of Mei's tuition, something she always deeply appreciated. Whenever Mei had free time, she would visit her uncle. Before deciding to marry Sam, she even introduced him to her uncle. But because Mr. Wang spoke little English, the two barely communicated. His impression of Sam was that he seemed withdrawn, a bit odd, and unusually quiet during meals. In 2010, Mei and Sam got married, without a formal wedding ceremony. That same year, their first son, Sam Haskell V, was born. In the following years, Mei gave birth to 2 more boys, James and William, devoting herself to raising 3 children while also building a life in the U.S. After graduation, Mei worked in tax and accounting, but after the birth of her first son, she realized she needed to take on more to sustain the family. So she founded Haskell Consulting Group, a firm that helped Chinese students pursue their dreams of studying at top U.S. universities, while also providing guidance on life abroad and educational consulting. Mei had a rare combination of strengths: her own journey as an international student, fluent bilingual skills, a warm and driven personality, and strong business acumen. At the same time, China's booming demand for overseas education created the perfect opportunity. Mei seized it. Her company quickly flourished, and she built a business that was not only thriving, but highly profitable. Busy with work, Mei had always hoped to bring her parents to the U.S. once she could. In reality, from the time her first son was born in 2010, her mother and stepfather had already moved to California. And for 13 years, they devoted themselves to raising their grandchildren until the tragedy struck in 2023. Mei's uncle recalled that it wasn't until after her first son was born that Sam's family formally introduced themselves. They even invited Mei and her parents to a holiday gathering in Texas, where the family first learned about Sam's father's Hollywood status. Sam's family offered to pay for a nanny, but Mei's mother gently refused, insisting she wanted to care for the children herself. In December 2020, Mei purchased a 6-bedroom, 6-bathroom home at 4115 Coldstream Terrace in Tarzana, paying $1.7 million. The property was registered solely in her name. Sam had contributed nothing financially. Mei's uncle said he was very close with his sister, Yanxiang Wang. While they were in the U.S., they spoke or met almost every week. He was often invited to Mei's family gatherings, trips to Disneyland, to Las Vegas. To him, Mei and Sam seemed steady, married for over a decade, raising 3 children together. But the reality was different. Mei's mother once confided that Mei was carrying the $7,000 monthly mortgage entirely on her own. When she turned to Sam for help, he gave nothing. By August 2023, just 3 months before the murders, Mei's parents had even returned to China to attend her nephew's wedding, looking happy and healthy. But soon after, in her final phone call with Mr. Wang on November 4th, Yanxiang confided to her brother that the financial burden was becoming overwhelming and that Mei was under tremendous pressure. On November 7th, Mr. Wang's calls to his sister went unanswered, something completely out of character. The very next day, the family was devastated to learn from news reports that Mei and her parents had been murdered. After the tragedy, Mr. Wang checked his sister Yanxiang's WeChat account, only to find that all her personal information had been erased and more than a decade of posts had been wiped clean. One of Mei's neighbors said she had a friendly bond with her. They were close in age, their kids were about the same age, and both had grown up outside the U.S. Whenever they had the chance, they would walk together and talk. She remembered Mei's parents as very kind people. Her mother, who had suffered a stroke during the pandemic, often sat in the front yard to get some sun. Even with limited mobility, she was always smiling and ready with a wave. Sam, by contrast, was the opposite. He rarely smiled, rarely spoke to anyone, and most neighbors thought he was strange. When Mei hosted gatherings, Sam would either appear briefly and leave, or sit in a corner without saying a word, so much so that guests assumed he must be sick. The neighbor recalled the last time she saw Mei, the morning of November 6th. Mei was getting into her car, about to take the kids to school. They exchanged a quick greeting, but the neighbor noticed Mei looked unusually unhappy that day. On November 13, 2023, Sam Haskell IV was formally charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder. He pled not guilty and refused to disclose the whereabouts of the victim's remains. At his court appearances, he was shirtless, wearing only a suicide prevention vest. In January 2024, the coroner's report revealed chilling details. There was a sharp wound at the base of Mei's neck. Her legs had been severed with a power saw. No drugs were found in her system. The report listed possible causes of death: strangulation, a gunshot, or blunt force trauma, but could not confirm whether the dismemberment happened before or after death. The most horrifying possibility remained that Mei was still alive when Sam put the saw to her. After the murders, people on Reddit claiming to be Sam's old high school classmates began sharing their memories. They said Sam was never popular. He was arrogant, constantly bragging that his father ran Hollywood. One classmate recalled that money meant everything to him. Girls at the school said he gave them the creeps. They didn't even want to be left alone in a room with him. Others remembered how he liked to provoke people, sometimes even pulling out knives or swords to show off. He was said to abuse drugs, act erratically, and explode without warning, screaming at people for no reason, and according to some, even as a teenager he was known for lying and causing trouble. But the school rarely held him accountable because his parents were major donors. One acquaintance, a Vietnamese transgender friend Sam met while shooting short films, said Sam was warm to him, but often short-tempered with others. The sudden flashes of anger, the impatience that surfaced without reason, at the time he thought it was nothing more than stress. For years, he didn't even know Sam was married. Their relationship blurred into something more than friendship, at times even intimate. On several occasions, he even stayed overnight at Sam's house.
So I first met Sam Haskell on set in 2012. I used to work at Maker Studios. Sam was in the camera department and I was in the makeup department. So I'm Asian, and any Asian descent woman that would come to the studios, he would have interest, for sure. Again, the googly eyes, stuff that I kind of got when I first met him. Like, he would do this to the Asian talents. Like, there's definitely a type.
Sam was obsessed with Asian women and drawn to Asian culture, especially Japan. The neighbor, whose son often played with Mei's children, said that inside the Haskell home he saw Sam's private collection: guns, ammunition, samurai swords, bows, spears, and other weapons. Mei had quietly admitted to her that she wanted Sam to get rid of them, but he never did. Police later discovered that Sam had been planning the murders at least a month in advance. He made repeated trips to Home Depot, buying tools that could be used for the crime. He even confided to a 27-year-old lover that his 3 sons would soon be living with his parents. On October 21, 2023, Sam purchased a one-way ticket to Japan, scheduled for November 28th. The very next day, he bought his lover a round-trip ticket on the same route, departing November 28th, returning December 12th. On July 14, 2025, Sam was scheduled to appear in court for a preliminary hearing. However, on July 12th, just 2 days earlier, he ended his own life in jail. Outside the courthouse, Mei's friends spoke with grief and anger. They said this monster had stolen a mother and 2 grandparents from 3 children, and then chose the most cowardly way to die, leaving their remains undisclosed. Back in 2008, when he was just 20, Sam was arrested on 2 counts of assault with a deadly weapon. He pled no contest and was sentenced to 3 years probation. From the timeline, Mei was already with him during this period. In 2010, the very year Sam was serving out his probation, Mei gave birth to their first child. A friend later recalled that in 2019, Mei once considered divorce, but she never followed through. She feared Sam's parents would use their influence to take custody of her children. It was a risk she could not bear to take. Mei chose instead to stay, a mother devoted to her children above everything else. Sam Haskell IV was, without question, a man sustained only by privilege. He had no steady income, surviving on family money, with no real ability of his own. He hid behind his father's Hollywood reputation, flaunting it as if it were his own achievement. He was selfish, arrogant, and cold, unfaithful to his wife, absent as a father. He lacked empathy, yet carried himself as though superior, foolish, yet convinced he was clever. He was obsessed with knives and swords, enthralled by Japanese culture, even teaching himself the language. And in the end, he chose the coward's way out, leaving behind unanswered questions and a trail of devastation. Many believe his motive for murder was nothing more than money. In stark contrast stood Mei Li. She came from an ordinary family, yet through hard work went abroad, studied, built a business, and chased her dreams. She was a devoted mother, raising 3 children and carrying the weight of the household largely on her own. She was a devoted daughter, grateful to the parents who crossed an ocean to stand beside her. She was independent, resilient, and tireless, working in a foreign land, paying the mortgage, keeping her family together. She was kind and genuine. Everyone who knew her said the same. She was mature, dependable, someone you could trust. But the cruelest irony was this: Mei knew her husband had a violent past. She knew his temper, his extremes, and still, she married him. Still, she had children with him. For the sake of her children, she dared not divorce. For the sake of her family, she dared not compromise. Mei gave everything she had to hold her life together. In the end, what she could not withstand was not the burdens of daily life, but the cruelty of the man beside her. Her 3 beloved sons, after the crime, were handed over to be raised by Sam's family. Her home was later sold in 2025 for $2.16 million. What do you think of this case? Please leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Thank you for watching. If you found this video meaningful, please like and subscribe to my channel.